Hey, good evening. Let's talk family. Tonight got a good show with my buddy, my friend, my ace man, my day one rider, my let's talk confidant. Um, Tonight we're going to discuss something that I think that a lot of people truly don't understand. I think a lot of times since I've had her on the show, a lot of us we get spooked because of mysticism and don't understand what the numbers mean or how it ties in with organized religion. Because I'm a true believer that everything that we do has a purpose. Everything that we see has a purpose. Everything that we hear has a purpose, and it all ties together. So I know that many in the organized religion field may not delve into teaching these type of teaching, but if you look further, it's there. Like I said, a lot of us from all the way back to our ancestors believed in a lot of different things. And I believe that we all have these things around us that we can't quite understand that goes on. So understanding that we are in the fourth quarter of the year, whether you're in the follow the lunar calendar or the solar calendar, you're still in the fourth quarter as we speak. So it's very important to understand, as people may say, what the universe is saying to you and what's the vibe, what's the temperature, knowing the temperature in the room. Um, Drea, before we went into this pandemic, she actually did a show that January, and we discussed it the beginning of 2020. And she said this is going to be a year of revealing. And definitely during that pandemic, when it hit in March officially, we got revealed a lot of things. A lot of things got brought to clarity. A lot of, unfortunately for a lot of us, a lot of death. And even in death in life, it still brings clarity to a lot of us. What's up, Drea?
What's up, Q? What's up, everyone?
And also, she's a professor, the professor. So four more weeks, right?
4 more weeks and the semester's over, and y'all children will be back at home with y'all.
Um, I know we were having a discussion behind the scenes, and we were basically talking about the the kids and putting themselves in bad predicaments. What when people say, I'm gonna allude to that in a minute, but when people say the fourth quarter and understanding the cycle that you're in, what they may say it but not truly mean what they say. What do you think they mean when they say it?
With the fourth quarter. So I break it down for the sports people in the house. I watch sports, I play sports. So think about the fourth quarter, and it's like do or die time, right? And so it's like you can't get those other quarters back. So fourth quarter for us is really self-evaluating. What did you do from quarter 1 all the way to 3? So it's like that report card or the semester. And what do you need to do to move forward? So this is not the time to be like, you know what, I'm going to create new goals. It's pretty much, all right, what goals have I set in January that I've been pushing aside that I need to complete October, November, December? we're also going into the months in which I call it people are being pseudo nice because the holiday seasons are here, right? And you see a lot of that, the switch of people being kind and people being charitable because of, people want to have this good cheer, but you're not finding a lot of good cheer because people are out of work. We're actually in this massive reset, cleanse of Mother Earth. And also, too, you may feel it within your own body and your own space of just feeling tired and just exhausted. Usually, we're exhausted by the time the fourth quarter happens. So, you see a lot of people getting sick because we're entering into cold and flu season with the other thing here too. So you see a lot of that's going on. So it's just this time to really detox and also cleanse. It's not a time to renew or like to start something new. This is the time to be like, what goals do I need to, keep pushing? You're gonna see a lot. I don't really like the fourth quarter because you see a lot of trauma. I'm not here to trauma bond with anybody. So that whole we're actually in a world in which people love this trauma bonding. Go look it up. Go do your Googles. Trauma bonding is like, oh, I'm gonna send you this trauma. Then I want you to feel sad, and I'm gonna outside you. And I'm not here for that. I'm not here for the trauma
So
bonding.
basically collecting the pity party.
Yeah, it's the pity party, and I do plenty of videos about that. Do not invite me to the pity party, because not only am I a professor, but I'm like a mother to these kids, to auntie and everything. So I deal with enough trauma, especially being a Black woman in America, working out at HBCU, trying to figure out the funding. Are we still going to be open? And while dealing with mandates, right? So why am I going to allow you to insert your trauma into my life? And I'm already trying to figure out my own trauma of generational trauma and try to be the curse breaker of that, or even try to
So,
heal that.
so one of the things that with me and you doing the show together is it's always kind of hard because me and your numbers are the same. Um, and, so we both got that core number. So we always ask people in the chat to just put their number up, and then you'll talk to them about their number or put their birthday up. Anybody in the chat, we like to do this thing when Drea comes on. Um, you don't have to say who you are. I'll know who you are, or Drea can know. Just put your birthday in the chat, the year you were born, the month, and the day, and you'll see what Julia. Because I'm just thinking about it because I seen her name. Drea is going to say about it. I think that a lot of people don't understand, like when you were speaking about the trauma time, is that transferable energy and those energy vampires, somebody that just knows how, or somebody comes and they may not even do it intentionally. They come within your circumference and they just suck all the positive energy out of the room.
Yes, exactly. And we see a lot of that because also too, this is the year of narcissism. And you have narcissistic abuse, which is part of that trauma bonding, which is the future faking is, oh, we're gonna be together one day and we're gonna do this one day, and it never happens. We have conversations, narcissists, it's all about them. They'll ask you, how you doing? I'm good. Then they go into the whole spiel about them. I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that neither. So that's why we have to create boundaries and have to really stick with our boundaries and be like, no, I'm not rock with that. For instance, one of my boundaries, I don't argue with people on social media. I'm not arguing with a profile picture. I'm not arguing with an avatar. I could take that energy and put it into grant writing or something that's productive. So, we
Wake
have to
up and
create
argue with
a
strangers
boundary.
all day.
Hmm?
Wake up and argue with strangers all day.
Right. I'm not about that life because of when I get on, I have to make sure that before I even touch my electronics that I'm prayed up. So I have a spiritual path. I have intentions daily that I follow, and also to my purpose. My purpose is not to be arguing with people online that is sucking me dry. Cause that's also too, you're giving your energy away. That's you're giving your energy to these energy vampires who want attention seeking. Attention seeking is a new currency. Never, that's the new bag, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not here for
Mm-hmm.
that. So that's why I always
Mm-hmm.
tell people have a spiritual practice too. What do you do before you turn that device on? Don't just jump on social media because that's going to disrupt your entire day. Make sure you stay prayed up. This is the time to really be prayed up. I don't care what your religious beliefs are. Prayer is universal, right? And I think we have to pray and we have to meditate. I don't care what that look like, whether you have an altar all the way down to, if you're doing rituals is a prayer. Make sure you do that first to give thanks. And a lot of people are not thankful that they're here. Give thanks that you didn't get sick this entire year. Give thanks that your parents are still here. Like I give thanks that my parents, they're in their 70s and they're still here and they're healthy. Did a lot of people my age. I give thanks for even having my career and just even being able to have that spiritual practice of teaching because I'm responsible for a lot of young people. So, a lot of times you see a lot of people, once again, they trauma bonding, they upset, and you are above ground. Why are you upset? You can change that around.
So look, you got one number up there, 9.
Nine, completion.
He just turned 50.
I know who that is. Nine, completion. And with black men turning 50, that needs to be celebrated because the life expectancy of black men is pretty much 50 to like, I'm going to say 55. Look at all these rappers who died in their 50s. You still in your prime, right? And I think a lot of times we don't celebrate that. We're like, oh, I hear my students, I'm in my 30s. They're like, oh, miss, you old. I'm not old. I'm still in my prime. 50, they think that's ancient. But for black people, for black men, you're in your prime. You have to be celebrated for being 50, for even being 40, because the life expectancy with the stress, with the politics, with things going on, you have to celebrate that.
It works well, you guys, if you put your whole birth date there, but you got a 7.
Seven. People
He's a
say
cre-
seven is spiritual.
he's a creator.
Okay.
He's a creator.
I about to say seven is spiritual. Seven is a lot of people was very creative. Also too, they're
That's it.
very
783.
okay, so he's the same year as me. Seven people also too have to be on the up and up. Probably very friendly person, but they always have to make sure they stay high vibration because if they're low vibration, they can set it off on anybody. So they'll like pretty much set the city on fire if they're
Look, here go my energy buddy.
oh same thing. Seven, very positive people. They have to stay on the up and up of being, like I said, high vibration. Because seven is such a spiritual number. Seven and nine is a very spiritual number. Nine is more of the international number, so they can go anywhere internationally. So many people know them. They're like, how do we know that person? So, and with sevens, they have to stay energetically high,
I'm gonna
and
ask you.
also too.
I'm gonna ask you, Dre. Do you think? And Faith. I see you. I'm gonna put yours up in 1 second. Do you think that we sometimes don't give ourselves an energy reset?
We don't, cause guess what we doing? I'm gonna show y'all. We don't even look up in the sky and like take pictures of sunsets or look up what's going on up there. We too busy on our device. I'm gonna tell y'all, and I'm gonna probably upset a lot of people. We overstimulated, we over sexualized, we're overindulging, we're overweight, and we're overdosing. So it's a lot, and we're just over it. So people don't take the time to really take time to just okay, let me just pause. Let me just take a weekend and shut it down. That means shutting off your phone, right?
One of the things, Dre, that a lot of people don't know is that before it was a Let's Talk group, and before it was even Let's Talk, and I always try to tell people that's newer to me and you conversating that's in the chat. Me and Drea met on social media about 3 years ago. Um, it was just an energy. It was an energy thing. Where we're totally two different states. So we bonded since then. We've gotten very close. So she, when I decided to take on trying to do this social media thing, she was there, supported me. She was my second interview after my friend Jamal that was just in the chat, and also she knows about the groups and she sees the groups. And I asked her in reference to the energy that she sees in the group when it comes to everybody knows how I feel about the gender war, where it's always men attacking women and women attacking men. So I asked her about it, and she was talking about how she's able to just scroll by, and then you got some that aren't. They just drawn to the post, or will look at a meme and be like triggered from a meme. What do you think that comes from? Like you're in a space, a nice solid space, but you're on social media and you could see something positive or a positive affirmation from someone else, but then you'll scroll down a couple times and see something negative, and you just got to be like, "Oh no, they couldn't have posted this. Like, I got to say something about this."
Messy. There's a lot of people that's messy. There's a lot of people. I'm gonna keep it honest. Like I said, I'm gonna be very raw and honest. That's me. People are messy because their vibration's low. I don't do them. I don't do once again trauma bonding. And then, like I said, looking in the group, you'll post something inflammatory. People, it'll be like 200 comments, but you can post, let's say, not gonna put myself out there, a video I'm saying, yo, blah blah blah. It'll probably be like two people. I don't care. I'm getting my message out here. I'm in my purpose. So whether you
Yeah.
listen to my message, you listen to the mess, that's up to you. But then you wonder why your life is at a standstill because you're trauma bonding. You're allowing energy vampires to take your energy and you're gonna always feel down. You're gonna always feel low. You're gonna always be in the dark. Then you're gonna have life pass you by because you're not in your purpose. And that's why you can keep strolling. You don't have to comment. You don't have to like. And like I said, I'm not getting into any arguments with someone I don't know. Okay, because there's too many Twitter fingers out here. I have a lot to lose. So
Hmm.
I always say that. I have a lot to lose because I'm a life path 8, and we'll get into that. If I go out here, trauma bond, and go in on people, I'll end up getting fired from my job
Well, I got, I
because I
got
have
one.
a lot to lose.
I got one more. Faith put her thing up here. I just took it down for 1 second. Everybody, I'm gonna put all you guys'
Go
comments
for
up on
it.
the up there. She's well, interesting. Faith, I did not know you was an Aries. Oh,
So you're
this
an
is
Aries
interesting,
6.
Faith.
So Faith, your
Woo!
year is gonna be next year is gonna be a year because we're going into universal year 6. So which means Faith is probably a person who is have social responsibility, that's tight with her family, and also too who is gonna ride with her family, and also too she probably is on a path of creating another second career.
Faith, Faith,
Usually
Faith,
six are like that.
Faith is the other half of he said, she said podcast.
Okay.
They have a podcast. They have a private Facebook page as well. They usually do their shows every Thursday at 7:30. It depends on if Faith running late or not. That was a shot because she usually runs late, from what I understand. But they had their social media page was actually up to 18,000 members
Okay.
until Facebook took it down, which is, that's a whole nother story. So they're rebuilding their page back up, and they have some real good topics dealing with men and women issues and the complexities of parenting, relationships, and they deal with those issues, but in a different way than
Right.
you may see in Let's Talk. I believe in Let's Talk, it may be more of a combative way. In their group, I don't think it's that as combative in that vitriol and anger, so to say. I think that when you have a group and a lot of people in the group actually know each other, it'd be a lot of shots being fired. Shots
Hmm.
being fired.
Right.
So you were saying she
Oh, I was
okay.
saying family, social responsibility. With her being an Aries is definitely an advocate, and usually advocates, are usually fighters. So she has a mission. She's fighting for something.
I got one more I just seen. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Where's she at? Hold up. There we go.
Two tone. I know her numbers. We already did a reading, but with Julia, as I mentioned to her, is she's a Pisces and a February Pisces. They're a little bit more sensitive side too. Usually with Pisces, they're very creative. They gotta stay creative. They gotta go by water because they're water signs, and they have to also too just always remember like, yo, you still gotta float on despite whatever that's going on, they still have to float on. And a lot of people often, get them confused too. They kind of box them in, but they got some tricks up their sleeves all the time.
Yeah, it's funny because thinking about you guys and thinking about you, Julia, Dwayne, and my friend Jamal that's in there when we had the New Year's Day show, New Year's Eve show, which was really interesting. We did a show like that. Um, Empress Me Muhammad. Put your birth date up there. I know what you put, but put your birth date up there. And I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're not traveling on the road. This is a good friend of mine. Really, really good friend. Our family's known each other forever.
Oh,
So
nice.
she's
And
a
she called
really,
herself
really
an empress, so
yeah,
she ain't nothing to play
she's a
with.
really good friend of mine. I love her, man. She
She's a
that's
Leo. Leo
yeah.
what? What's your
put
my
your birth
rising
date up
sign is
there.
Leo.
I didn't know her birthday was that day.
You got a lot of seven folks.
Yeah. Yeah, I am going to do another New Year's Eve show. I think it's going to be a little different. I mean, more people, hopefully.
Right.
And you guys that were on the show last year are definitely invited.
So
Uh, she is
I could
727.
I see why she calls herself an empress. 727. Sis is double spiritual, so she's a force to be reckoned with. When she comes in the room, you know she's in the building, and she is commanding the honor, respect, and she's not playing with folks. So yes, salute to you, sis.
Yeah, that believe it or not, that's actually her personality. We haven't seen each other in almost 10, 12 years, man. And like I said, our families have known each other since a long time
Right.
ago.
Oh, hey Nicole. Sag 9. Ooh, y'all Sagittarius, boy. Y'all be on fire. Then you were 9, so Nicole likes to be international. I can see Nicole on international stages. They have a gift for gab too, and they'll go in on you in a minute. Like don't Sagittarius, because Sag the actual sign is travelers, so you guys have to do a lot of traveling to really tap into who you are, and also too if you're going through a transformation period. I think you definitely have to tap into like traveling. There's a lot of 9s and 7s in the group. Ooh.
Let me ask you what, like, and I know and we don't want to scare nobody, but I know when you had did some numbers before for some people, you told them like, look, it's gonna be a rough year for you. You got to be able to as you would say, weather the storm and be able to handle what the adversity is going to come your way. What do you think? Like when you tell somebody, what to expect, and Dre is not a psychic, you guys. This is not a psychic reading. This is not psych.
No.
Like I said, this sometimes just understanding the numbers it scares people because your identified numbers, as me and Dre both have the same core number, your identified numbers stick with you for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely in this plane. So what she does is your course of action in those numbers, they're gonna stay with you. You guys that play the picket, I'm quite sure you play your birthday, or your parents' birthday, or your kid's birthday. It's the reason why you play those numbers because those numbers always come up. I'm quite sure you guys, and I don't want to go too far off. You guys saw the movie with Will Smith when they were crooks, and they was subliminally putting the number in the dude's head all day long. So when he said, "I'll bet you that you can't pick the number," and he looked at the guy in the uniform who was working, and he picked that number.
Hmm.
So you'll be amazed how many times you see certain numbers that
Right.
always pop up in your head.
Exactly. And that's when you are in synchronicity. Like for me, for the past 2 months, I've been seeing 111, 222, 444. And when let me break this down a little bit basic for you guys. When Jay-Z did the 444 album, so Jay-Z's a four, Beyonce's a four, so they resonate on the four energy. Myself and Q are four people. So we deal with the mental and the intellect. And so you can't really get things past us because we have to really tap in to our intellect and also to our
And
intuitive
it's
nature.
funny. It's funny you said that because when I do have conversations about Jay Z and Beyonce, I'm like, yo, he's the super passive aggressive. They be like, what do you mean? I'm like, he's a four. I was like, he's a four and he's married to a four. She leads everything. Don't
Right,
get it twisted. Like we all like his rap career and all that, but she
right.
runs the show, and
And
he'll
she's
tell you
and
she
she's
runs the show.
a four earth sign. And Virgos, Capricorns, and Taurus are earth signs, so we keep people grounded. We're like, let me tell you something. We may not, and we'll have a smile on our face, and people be like, oh my God, and he's a Sag. So, he wants to be fired up sometime. And so she has to be like, yo, you need to tone that all the way down.
What do you
Because
think
once
about these
again,
numbers?
hmm, oh, 444, right. 777, spiritual, 222, 111. So which means it's like all those are saying God is with you and the doors opening up and your ancestors are with you. So what are you going to do with the plan? And with 444, that is more on what are you going to do with this plan that I gave you? What's the blueprint? With 777 spiritual, maybe you need to up your spiritual practice, maybe the prayer practice. With twos, creativity. What do you need to say that's on your heart? And with one, that's when you need to take in charge. So anything you see with ones, that's more leaders. What do you need to do? How do you step your leadership skills up?
I know. For anybody in the chat, I know that you guys may not want to hear this, but me and Dre was having a conversation. We were talking about relationships, and we were basically saying how, like, Dre's parents still together, been together, and what's going on with our generation and not understanding why we're having so much conflict when it comes to relationships. And basically, she was saying because your numbers don't match up.
Right.
So dealing with young adolescents at the college, knowing this information, and like you said, at the end of the day, you're their professor, you're their aunt, you're their counselor, you're their friend, you're their big sister, you're their alumnus. So you're everything. So they're coming to you, and they may be dumping to you this information, and you're not trying to do no readings or nothing, but it's like I'm here and you're using me, you're using to vent, which we should do for our younger people. We should never turn our back on the youth. How are you perceiving, like, where we're headed for our future with these
You
younger
know
people?
what? With the young people, the ones that I'm, in contact with, we don't give them that space. We don't honor them and give them that space to say, let it out. Like, okay, for instance, one of my students yesterday called me on a Sunday. I'm chilling, minding my business, replotting my plans, just boohoo crying. And a lot of times their parent, I go deep. I go to their parents' history because I am a social worker and a clinical therapist. So a lot of times they give me their family history without me asking. So I have them do autobiographies. So when I read them, I'm like, yo, your parents need therapy. You need therapy. And I always tell my students, I don't care what major they're in, you need to get therapy because you're the one that's going to change the trajectory of how your family lineage is going. A lot of them are coming from the trauma. A lot of them been traumatized at home and they've been raised by narcissistic parents. They've been raised by passive aggressive parents, right? And of course, like I said, add that cherry on top of being black in America. You can't. A lot of them can't afford to go to a private institution like Tuskegee. Tuskegee is $33,000 a year. Okay, so that's a certain demographics of black folks that can afford to go there. Right?
Listen, you guys in the chat. I'm not ignoring your comments. I'm gonna put them up. You have Drea mentioned something, and I'm glad that she mentioned it because we're gonna go into this portion of the conversation. One time, Drea, I had said something to her about doing a show on generational curses. And my response to her and her response to me, I'm not going to say it wasn't good. It just was not as positive as I may thought it was been. And like I said, a lot of people don't believe in generational curses, or, like as Drea said, trying to change the trajectory in your family. So we're going to address that. You got one more, Drea, right here.
I
Got
had
12,
laughed.
13, 78.
I had laughed when I saw the 13, my fellow 13er and another Sag. This sister here, she gotta stay positive all the time. She's a four, like I said. Q and I are both fours, and she has to tap into the intellect, and she has to be okay with being different. Fours, we're kind of different. We kind of like, listen, I'm going over here while y'all going over there. Y'all go ahead and get slaughtered, but over here, I know what's up. I'm seeing y'all going to get slaughtered. I'm trying to bring y'all to the light. But fours, we're a little bit different. It's a lot of times too, we have these mysterious illnesses. So make sure that she's like pretty much watching what she eat and even what she intake as far as the negativity, even what she watch. She might be a sensitive person. For us can be kind of sensitive, but we kind of stoic. Like we try not to show it. And we can be very fiery too. So I'm pretty sure if you piss her off, she'll probably set the whole set it off. Ooh, 333. Ooh, I think the numbers 333 and 555. 333, that's when it's time to create. What are you not creating? And also too, 555. Yo, five. We in a universal year five. Fives can be very confusing when you on the if you like vibrating low. Yo, all type of sex, drugs, rock and roll happens in like in the 5 years, especially if you vibrating low. If you
Like,
vibrating
and
high,
we see that nowadays, where basically um there is no moral compass. If you don't have it as an individual, don't expect society to have it. You
right?
got to be a real disciplined individual to not be lured into those vices.
Definitely.
So with that, like a lot of times we'll hear, and even now, I mean, we always heard people, or they went out and they OD'd, or they got alcohol poison or whatever, and then you'd be like, I didn't even know they did that.
Five is
Because,
secretive.
yeah, hold on, you guys, I'll get you.
Yes, you gotta know your ancestors. Yes, yes. And look, I'm co-signing yes. Yep. Change, creativity. So with faith is rebuilding, with 333, rebuild, restructure. And like I said, three is also too. You got it. That's like self-expressive. Like you have something to say. So make sure that you don't, you know, water down what you're gonna say. When you a three or you see threes, you gotta get it off your chest because people they don't want to hear it, but they need to hear it.
So let me ask you now. Like I said, we in that a lot of people are trying to stop or change those generational cycles, or like, you start going back in your family history and be like, um hold up, my grandmother was the side piece, or my grandmother was, or great grandmother was born from a rape. I mean, this is the reality of where we are, people. And I know everybody in the chat may be like, "Damn, you bugging," but I'm trying to be sensitive as possible. But we have to understand that if we believe in generational curses or issues in our lineage, this is where a lot of us came from. So when you start to uncover this stuff, and you be like, "Oh, don't nobody want to tell me about the secrets about these shotgun weddings and all this other stuff," and now I'm hearing this situation, or about the uncle who was the pedophile, and he raped the cousins and all this other crazy sick stuff that went on. With uncovering all that, it brings about a certain energy. How should the individual deal with the energy? I remember when yourself and Julia, when you guys did the show, um doing the research from the show, it was, interesting. It was a lot of emotion.
Hmm.
So how should I handle that if I was doing some research on my family history?
Definitely. First of all, we gotta get away from the secrecy, right? I found out a lot of different secrets in my own family, both sides, and it really changed the trajectory of how I looked at myself as a black woman, and also to how I wanted to conduct my life. Um, just even I look at it with on my mom's side, everyone's homeowners. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna be a homeowner, and I am. And another thing, the vibrations too. Being, like I said, a black woman from Boston, spent 18 years there. I always say Alabama is my second home because my parents are from here. This is my lineage, and I pay a lot of homage. And a lot of times, and I'm probably gonna ruffle some feathers, black folks, especially if your folks are from the South, you don't belong in the city because we where I was growing up, I used to spend my summers in down south. So it was like you had a lot of space to roam, to learn how to eat from the earth, eat from the land, do stuff like that. And when you in the city, what you scratching to survive. Isn't that like good times, right? Like you like trying to survive. Um, and we wonder why a lot of stuff happens because we're not happy. The weather sucks. You really can't. You're not getting fresh produce. You kind of like separating yourself from them people down south. They slow, right? So a lot of times, we have to really go back to basics of how like our family even lived, right? And when I found out the history of my family, like I said, on my mom's side, I was like, oh yeah, I can't stay up here in the city no longer. And even on my dad's side too, a lot of them are homeowners and they own land, but also too with the mental health. When I realized like my grandmother, lived to her 90s, but she dealt with mental health issues, had two nervous breakdowns, and I was like, no way, I'm going through that. But that probably set the trajectory of me going to be a social worker,
You
right? So,
I'm gonna ask you a question, not to cut you off. Let me
mhm.
just ask you a question because you said something that's interesting. I just want everybody in the chat to know that I quote what you said, and I agree with what you're saying. How those of us that may have grown up north that we didn't actually belong up there, because of the low vibration or that high vibration up there may not have been on the same frequency as us. When it comes to health, sickness, and the foods we eat and so forth. Then you see people when they move back down south or move closer to where their families originally from, you don't see like the stress level, so to say. They live a little bit. The life expectancy is a little bit higher. All of a sudden, do you think that is one of the reasons why we can't fight some of the ailments that we have because of where we live at?
I think so. But to each his own. If you gotta live in the city, cool. But I feel like the hustle and bustle of life is not natural for us. It's not natural to be like, all right, I gotta like, get up at this time and then I gotta commute in. Because remember, we're going through gentrification. We getting pushed up out of there. We getting pushed to these suburbs, and guess who's coming in? Them people coming in the city. So your commute's probably 90 minutes. You're spending what? Close to 3 hours commuting. You got a stressful job. You scared of going back in the office because you may not get that thing. Also, too, a lot of cities, especially northeastern cities, are mandating a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah,
And people are like, oh, but I live in, here we go with politics. I live in a liberal state. It's not liberal for you though, because it doesn't make sense. I was looking at a YouTube video last night. Someone was saying it takes $200,000 just to live in New York City, and you living on top of each other. So you don't know what that person's hygiene is like. You don't know what their hygiene is as far as with their home. Your stress levels through the roof. You got to deal with packed in like sardines or roaches, and you got to hustle and bustle just to what you're paying 3 G's for rent. You're not even owning that. And then you got, let's say, limitations on what you can grow. If you're trying to grow herbs, they may have a clause in your lease that you can't grow herbs. You're getting seasonal affective disorder. You're getting the produce. Go to your produce. Go to your local supermarket and look at the produce. You have to hurry up and eat it in a day because it's going bad. So it's just that hustle and bustle. If that's the type of vibe you want, cool. But for me, I knew I couldn't go back
Nicole.
home and survive.
Nicole says, "So what is my number? 12976, and how do you get to the number? How do you get to the number? That's
So
that's a,
there's
that's the first.
that's a first. So to with why I say you're a nine, Nicole, because of you was born on the ninth day. So if you add up your whole entire birthday, that's how you get to your life path number. And then I'm just giving you two basic things, right? If I go into like expression numbers, if I go into like your personal year number, like we can get into that, but that's how you can do it. Then you can also go into numerologist.com and plug in your numbers for your
My
life
cousin, my
path.
cousin, my cousin grew up in Harlem, and then he moved to South Jersey, and he said how South Jersey changed his life. just by
Mm-hmm.
the environment, because of that hustle and bustle of being in the city. And like you said, that even with myself, with traveling an hour and 15 minutes every day to and from work, it is a different stress level.
It's a different stress level, and also too, we're in universal year 5, so this is the time in which you're going to see a mass exodus out of cities. A lot of people are going to be relocating to the vibration of a town they may move to, because people be like, oh, like for instance, some of my family members, but I can't believe you live in Alabama. It's slow. Yeah, but guess what? I'm on an acre of land. I'm never bored. I have so much to do. And then also too, when I go home back to Boston, I'm ready to come back because I'm like, it's cold. People look depressed. People just look beat up, and I'm not about that life. And so my classmates like, girl, you still look like in high school. I'm like, yeah, because I'm not up here working 2, 3 jobs, and that's not natural for
What
us to
about
work 2, 3 jobs.
Moon and Venus?
Oh, about the birth chart, I'm not into the birth chart now. But as far as with, you can go on, I think it's astro.com to do your birth chart. So when you do your birth chart, know your full name, what city and state you, or even country you was born in, and also to the time, your birth time. And it can give you your sun, moon, Venus. Like for me, I had did my birth chart. Um, I'm a Capricorn sun and also moon, and I'm a rising sign Leo. So when you have a rising sign, I can talk about that real quick. When you have a rising sign, that's your personality, what you present to the world, right? Pretty much with your sun and moon sign, that is pretty much like how you coexist. So it's like personality, your rising sign, how you coexist, how you look at things. That's your sun and
I'm
moon
gonna, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you about one of the thing about with numbers and understanding who you are is a lot of times we get caught up in trying to understand who other people are. Give us some advice on just how to be selfish and individualize it and be about you. Like, I need to figure out who I am, how I think, what makes me tick, what makes me cling to negativity, what makes me cling to positivity. Why do I have a creative mind? Why do I stay up at night thinking about things to do, thinking about moves to make, opposed to the person who just wants to know what makes another individual click. Why my boss act the way he act. Describe how that could be an issue for the individual.
sign. Definitely. When you're focusing on outer, you don't have no self accountability and responsibility for self. You always got to start with self. You always have to start with self. I don't care if people like, oh, you self centered. No, you have to start with self. You was born and brought to this physical plane for a reason, and you need to figure that out. Don't figure out what somebody else is doing, because guess what they doing that has nothing to do with you. You have to figure out what's your purpose every day, what's your intentions. Also, too, what was that inner child? What did you miss in your childhood that you kind of abandoned? Was it writing poetry and someone said, well, that sucks? That's one person's opinion. You may be the dopest poet ever, but because you allow, once again, outside forces to tell you who you are, what you are not, you get to define who you are. Actually, you was already defined who you was when you was birthed into this physical plane. So don't worry about what the other person is doing. Once you get tapped into who you are, trust me, you'll start seeing people like, I bet you they're this. For instance, I keep getting 25s in my life, which equals to 7. I keep getting 7 folks in my life. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's why they act like that. That's why they're like this. For real. And I can point them out. I'm so good now because once again I tapped into self and I'm like navigating certain people, but I have to navigate who I am. And a lot of times too, that goes to healing. It comes to family history because you may was brought up in a situation that was toxic for you. Because once again, being a social worker, we look at the person and the environment. So, from conception all the way up to now, what were some key missing elements that you have missed out on? Like how did your parents navigate their trauma? Did they project it onto you? And I think a lot of times we don't have those conversations because sometimes we want to think, oh, our parents was like amazing. Sometimes they were just surviving too. And
Or
you know,
the individual may have been born in a toxic situation
right,
where they have think that that toxicity was normal. So
right,
now when they live a normal life, they're not comfortable because
right.
it's not drama filled, hustle and bustle. It's not a bunch of things going on, and they can't really manage being laid back, chill. Um, they got to create some type of drama, create some type of mischief in the land, so to say.
Exactly. Exactly. And those people, if you're a laid back person, those people are going to attract to you because they're like, wow, that person's laid back. And they always got something going on. Hence why you have to create those boundaries. And you guys see the, once again, the trauma drama from a long ways. Like, all right, beloved, I'm not about that life. So, um,
Well, well, Dre, we veered off from our fourth quarter and understanding it, which is perfectly fine. Like I always say that everybody in the chat, you guys make the shows. Whenever we do have shows, it's all about the chat. Nicole said, I'm in North Jersey, but I don't have to be in the midst of things. My mom is from Alabama and father is from Georgia, but they have moved to Jersey when they're young.
mhm,
But I also live in South Carolina, so I am cool with being home.
right,
Cool with being laid back. Very laid back person.
exactly. That's
So
great.
so how do people, as we always say, I know, explain to some people what are you doing as far as your careerist project, Brown Girl Boston, because a lot of people that's newer in the group, they just might see me share one of your videos. They be like, "Who is this person? He always sharing videos. And like, what's up with her? And is she a real person?" Just sort of say. Explain to everybody how they can get in touch with you and what you got going on, Drea.
So yes, so we took a pause from the Careerist Project, which was, helping black women with just really resetting their lives and really looking at their grief and also just resetting what they got going on holistically. So we took a pause from that. Shamika got her projects going on, I got mine. I just as far as with Brown Girl from Boston, I still, blog and still, post my posts. So you guys can check it out at www.browngirlfromboston.com. So I talk a lot about just personally what's going on, personal development, relationships, all that stuff. But we come from a holistic standpoint because I'm all about looking at the whole person because we all, coexist in the whole body. And then also too with just being a professor. Um, that has taken up a lot of my time.
It's funny, and it's funny. I don't want to get us kicked off of these social media outlets. And like I tell everybody in the chat, it's funny that your university has been the conversation in a lot of circles lately.
Yes,
Drea, for those in the chat that don't know, Drea is an alumni and a professor at Tuskegee University, hallowed ground. She actually walks past ground zero every day. It is a crime scene.
yes.
Um,
The building that I am in is the old hospital
so
that was, you know,
the old experiments was done. So
yes.
I want everybody to know that a lot of the information that even some of famous people try to say, they're not telling the truth about what's still going on.
Hmm.
Um, and it's best to get the information from someone who sees it every day. Um,
Right.
because the story is still being told. It's still stuff going on. The research is still being done
It is.
of the ramifications of what happened there.
And we have just been granted like a few $1 million from one of my colleagues who's doing a lot of research on what's going on. And it's been an interesting journey of what's been going on campus. But I wanted to throw this, no, I don't do ancestor reading. I wanted to throw this tidbit at you all too. I know we veered off from the fourth quarter, so I want you all to really revisit your goals. But going into next year, we're going into universal year 6. So you're gonna see a preview of that, like October, November, December. Especially December, we're gonna see a preview and like the switch. So for 6 is gonna be more of family. So this is a time to really start getting your rest because some people may be caregivers, caretakers of your elderly families. Some of you all may be starting a family. Some of you all may have nieces and nephews who's going to have babies. You're going to see a lot of engagements. People, people going to be figuring out, oh, during cuffing season, I guess I'm going to be with this person, right? But be careful, right? So, but really be
It's
careful
hoodie
to do
season
your
now.
due diligence.
Cuffing season is after hoodie season, right?
I don't know, child. I'm still new to this whole whatever, but I'm not cuffing anybody. So university six, universal year six. Also, too, second career. So I want to talk about careers really quick. So for those who's looking like I'm sick of being in XYZ career, anything AI, which is artificial intelligence, anything cybersecurity, anything that's dealing with technology, I suggest you all to really get your certification in because that is big news. You see ransomware. I think the latest victim of ransomware was Howard University and how they took over their entire website and they asked for like $3 million. Then over the summer down here, we experienced the shortage of gas because of the pipeline dealt with the ransomware and they wanted I think like $3 million in Bitcoin. It was very weird. So we have been experiencing weird times. Oh yeah, and transportation too and healthcare. So we've been experiencing some weird times. So be careful even what you post on social media. Like that's very important because you don't know AI is really taking control of these devices and monitoring everything that you're doing. So please be careful. A lot of people are going backlog to see what you've been posting. So you might find yourself in Facebook jail, your platform being taken down. So just make sure that you know how to navigate this space of cyberspace. I teach computer application class, so I'm tapped in a lot to what's going on. So y'all got to be very careful, especially as far as with Black folks of what
So
we put on there.
that be that energy I'm talking about. Because Drea didn't even know that I'm doing a show Wednesday on cancel culture. So she just mentioned about them doing backlogs on your social media, and if you have one of those type of careers where they know that you have control or authority over people, they will backlog your social media and be like, "Well, you said this time," and
Yes,
it's really unfortunate when you think about what goes on. But
exactly.
we need to be abreast of our social media and being able to. You really can't cleanse it, but you need to be cautious of what you post and how you post and the energy that you put out into your
Right.
social media.
And I'm also going to give y'all some homework. So I have my students do this. So do a Google search and a DuckDuckGo search of your name and see are you pleased with your online presence. If not, it's time to clean up. Especially my folks who was born on the 8th or was born in August or just even you have any 8th in your birth day because your karma is coming back in full force. You may have quote unquote drag somebody, but please believe they're gonna go find out where you work at and you're gonna be on the summer jam screen. So you don't want to be on the summer jam screen. So go and Google yourself and duck go yourself, especially for my 8 folks. And if your birthday adds up to an 8.
We'll have a conversation. We'll have a conversation soon about Empress. We're gonna me and Drea have a conversation soon about retrograde because I'm quite sure Drea wants to get into that.
Yes, and retrograde is ending the 17th. So if you've been fatigued, listen to your body, rest, hydrate. Do not get into arguments with folks. So once again, you're gonna get put on the summer jam screen. Do not sign anything. If your technology is acting weird, don't go out and buy a new iPhone. Let Mercury retrograde in. Saturn's return has this in there, I think today. So anybody, Saturn's my ruling planet because I'm a Capricorn. You may have seen old people come back into your life. You may see new people dragged out your life. Let them go. Let these folks go. Please do not hold on to people.
Listen, you guys, I appreciate you guys in the chat. Where Drea is, she's an hour behind us, and like I said, she's a professor at the college, and I appreciate her for taking the time to come on the platform as usual. Every time I ask her to come on, she just be like, "Okay, I'm down." So, and it's kind of late for me. I'm kind of older. I need to be to bed early.
Me
Um,
too.
so I appreciate you guys in the chat. Like I always say, and I said before, you guys make the show. It's all about you guys. Um, and it's all about what we're having a conversation together. Um, So, Drea, until next time, appreciate you. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys. Like I said, you can get in touch with Drea,
Yes.
www.browngirlfromboston.com.
Or Drea DREA at browngirlfromboston.com. So you can email me. You know,
Yeah. And,
cool.
and all I can say is she's real deal.
Thank you.
Oh, my friend said, where can we find you outside of
um,
that?
Also, too, you can follow me on IG, Brown Girl from Boston. I'm also on Facebook, Brown Girl from Boston. So type in Brown Girl from Boston, you'll find me on IG and also on Facebook. I don't do Twitter. No, I don't do Twitter.
I'm laughing, y'all, because she said she don't do Twitter. That's where we met. So,
Right?
look, listen, just a little tidbit. We met on Twitter, right, you guys? And then she just disappeared. I'm like, yo, what happened? I seen the argument, and I'm like, she gave it to somebody on Twitter one day. It went a little viral in our little section. I'm
Yes.
like, man, yo, where'd she go? She just
Exactly. So I have to
disappeared,
get
bro.
off because, like I said, I got more to lose than a lot of people. So I wasn't gonna be put on the summer gym screen. So I said I'm up out of here. So I've been Twitter free for like 3 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah. She shut her Twitter account after that. I was like, oh my goodness, yo, like where'd she go? I had to find her. Like, what the heck? But appreciate you guys in the chat.
you
You guys
guys,
have a blessed night. Take care, and remember, keep that negative energy from around you. Try to be positive and protect your spirit.
yes.